Thanks so much for joining us here on the CBN News Channel. I'm Ephraim Gray.
And I'm Charlene Israel. A history-making high on Wall Street. The Dow Jones rose 126 points on Tuesday to close at 14,254. That tops the previous all-time high by more than 89 points. Some analysts are asking, can we trust this market surge? From the opening bell, stocks soared Tuesday, and once they started going, they didn't stop until all previous records were broken.
In that sense, it is a milestone. Today will go down in history.
The Dow passed its previous high of just under 14,200, set in October of 2007. It also doubled its record low, set almost exactly 4 years ago, gaining 118% since then.
I love the buzz that this has created because this is telling the Main Street investors something that I've been trying to explain for over a year, that the stock market is a place you need to have your money.
Analysts say the surge was brought on by a number of factors, from spending abroad and consumer confidence here at home, to low interest rates and the recovering housing market. But while the rebounding stocks are a positive sign for the economy, many wonder if it can last. Financial experts point to several signs that it can. The economy continues to slowly grow. Businesses are making money. Interest rates and inflation are still very low. And there's still a great deal of money on the sidelines that has not gone back into the stock market yet. But some analysts say the stock market isn't completely out of the woods yet.
You don't see the champagne bottles and the confetti coming down from the ceiling and the balloons and all that, because there is still a very, very big disconnect between what the market is telling us and what the economy is telling us.
But they hope that this is the start of further economic recovery. And for now, they believe the market will continue to soar. Experts say a strong stock market also builds confidence among companies and gets them hiring, which will also aid in continued economic recovery.
Sequester cuts may be in place, but many government agencies are still hiring. 400 job ads were posted on the first day after the cuts, many in departments that are considering furloughs. Of the jobs posted, nearly a quarter were in medical or public health. 67 were in management or clerical services, and another 21 were in information technology. Experts say the move could reveal just how agencies plan to increase department savings, either by attrition or letting people go.
Joining us now with more is Bill Frezza. He's a fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute and a Boston-based venture capitalist. So, Bill, what is your take on the new Dow record? Is there any connection at all with the sequester?
Well, it's only a record if you measure it with a faulty yardstick. Remember, what Ben Bernanke has accomplished is taking a yard this big and making it this big by printing up so much money, so everybody looks taller. It's much a monetary illusion. If you were to look at the Dow priced in gold, for example, you would see that we're back to where we were in the 1980s. And so people need to be very cautious about how they interpret statistics like this. The other thing I would say is that obviously the market has completely discounted any talk about the sequester. It's had no impact whatsoever on people's expectations.
Mm-hmm. On the sequester, the Obama administration has now canceled White House tours, Blue Angel air shows, and released thousands of illegal immigrants. Are they going out of their way to manufacture outrage?
Oh, wait till they fire the meat inspectors. Of course they are. This is all part of a strategy. Barack Obama cannot afford to let the American people believe that the government can stop growing. This is part of his agenda and part of his program. And in order to get people to wake up, it's very important that everybody out there point out areas of government waste, government fraud, government duplication, and give people an opportunity to hold those examples up side by side with the chaos that the president and his people are going to be creating over the next month.
Well, Bill, you've got a Twitter campaign with the hashtag #SequesterThis. Tell us about some of the examples of government waste that could be cut instead.
Yeah, and actually, you know what? I can't take credit for it because I thought I had made it up, but it looks like Senator Tom Coburn has been at this for a while. So I will credit myself for jumping on his bandwagon. It looks like other people are jumping on the bandwagon. The lead editorial in the Wall Street Journal today was #SequesterThis, and everybody's piling in now with examples. The TSA, who are about to lay off a bunch of people, snuck in a $50 million uniform purchase right before the deadline. There are, let me look it up, there's something like 3,000 duplicative programs spending an extra $300 billion every year that it can very easily be gone through and have the duplication removed. There's all sorts of clever and silly programs like a $250,000 robot squirrel that can be eliminated. There's giving the president's dog a free ride on Air Force One. So I think it's going to be a combination of serious programs that need cutting and silly ones, which is what the news media tends to focus on. And keep up the campaign. Send your cut ideas to #Sequester this.
I'm sure people will do that. Now, do you think this stock market will continue to go up despite the budget and deficit issues?
Oh, boy, that's always a difficult prediction. And I think the answer will be it will go up until it crashes. That's always the safe answer. The pros believe they can time this. Ben Bernanke has driven people out of the bond market because of a zero interest rate policy. They're looking for yield. They've crowded in, and the time that it's getting dangerous is when everybody's talking about how wonderful the stock market is. The fundamentals are not there. If you look at the comparison to when the last peak was hit, there are twice the number of people that are unemployed. Gas prices are up. Inflation is eking up now, and although the CPI is not fully demonstrating the fact that we're getting monetary debasement, it is showing up in an asset bubble. And when that asset bubble pops, it's going to be ugly.
Bill Frezza, thank you as always for your support and for your information today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
The heaviest snowfall in 3 years is overtaking the nation's capital, bringing at least a foot of snow. As John Jessup reports, before the white stuff even started falling, it was already wreaking havoc with canceled flights, classes, and work schedules.
As it made its way across the nation's midsection, the storm dumped nearly a foot of snow in Chicago, canceling 900 flights at O'Hare alone. Hundreds more cancellations are expected today in airports along the weather system's path. Hours before the storm hit Washington, crews prepared the roadways for potentially hazardous driving conditions.
We're going to work as hard as we can, and we're going to do the best we can.
They want to avoid scenes like this in Wisconsin, where a truck plunged off an icy bridge, killing the driver. The storm has been dubbed the Snowquester, in honor of the government sequester or automatic spending cuts that took effect over the weekend. And people in the storm's path weren't taking any chances, stocking up on everything they needed before the storm hit.
What we had here this morning all sold in the first few hours, and we went back to get more.
Bread's here.
Check.
Check.
Toilet paper?
Check.
What else? Water?
Junk food, check.
The junk food are also important.
Forecasters predict between 6 to 10 inches of snow will cover the capital area by the time the system makes its way through, and as much as 16 inches in the nearby mountains of western Maryland.
The federal government closed its offices Wednesday, excusing all non-emergency employees for the day. While the weather was cause for cheering for these folks in Indiana, others, already weary of winter, aren't in the celebrating mood.
The snow, I'm tired of it. Yeah, it's been enough.
John Jessup, CBN News, Washington.
The TSA will now allow passengers to carry small pocket knives on planes. Knives were banned after 9/11. Beginning in April, the Transportation Safety Administration will allow travelers to carry such knives, souvenir baseball bats, golf clubs, and other sports equipment onto planes. The agency said the change will align the list of prohibited items on U.S. flights with those of international carriers. It also says the new policy will allow officers to focus on more serious threats like explosives and guns, as well as cut the time passengers spend going through security screening. Flight attendants are angry at the change, saying they and their passengers will be at risk.
Having knives on board is a horrible decision, and we're incredibly disappointed in the TSA for allowing weapons on board an aircraft.
The change goes into effect April 25th.
The new push to pass stricter gun control laws is affecting everyone. Guns are usually seen as a guy thing, but it may surprise you to learn women actually make up the fastest growing segment of U.S. gun buyers. Gun stores and shooting ranges are cashing in on the trend by offering products and services specifically for the ladies. Andrea Garrett has the story.
In Albuquerque, New Mexico, Caliber's Shooting Sports Center has seen a 40% surge in female customers in the last 2 years.
It is somewhat empowering for a female to be able to protect herself with this specific tool.
Lindsay Fassler is a firearms instructor at Caliber's, and she teaches a ladies-only class.
We don't go into shotguns. We don't go into any AR-15 type things. We stick with just handguns.
It's a trend reflected across the country. In 2005, just 13% of U.S. gun owners were women. Today, that number is 23%, a 77% increase in the last 7 years. While women are showing more interest in shooting sports these days, most women will tell you they're buying a gun for another reason: self-defense. Fassler says many of her students are single women, as well as single moms, who don't think pepper spray or whistles offer enough protection.
Especially those single mothers who are by themselves. They really want to make sure that they can handle whatever they need to handle.
It's just the fact that for me it would be that if I needed it, it would be there as a last resort.
Andrea Garrett, CBN News.
A Georgia City Council has voted to stop saying the Lord's Prayer at meetings. The decision comes after the city's attorney advised members the law restricts what prayers can be said at council meetings. The attorney told leaders it just has to be more generic type thing. They will now have pastors from the 6 churches in the city take turns saying a prayer at the meeting.
Coming up, death of a dictator. Venezuela's Hugo Chavez succumbs to cancer. What does it mean for his country and the U.S.?
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 U.S. gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
The death of Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez has pundits debating his legacy. The controversial 58-year-old leader died Tuesday following a battle with cancer.
And while some Venezuelans are mourning, others are actually celebrating. Dale Hurd has the story.
Hugo Chavez saw himself as an anti-capitalist revolutionary and champion for Venezuela's poor. He imagined that the United States, and especially George W. Bush, was the center of all evil.
You are a donkey, Mr. Bush.
Yesterday, the devil came here. Right here.
En este mismo lugar.
And it smells of sulfur still today.
He also said that capitalism may have ended life on Mars, that the U.S. had a secret earthquake weapon, and that Twitter was a tool of terrorism. But beyond the bizarre stunts and showmanship, Hugo Chavez's legacy can be viewed as a wasted opportunity in a nation that desperately needed more from its leader. One of the most oil-rich nations in the world, you'd hardly know it by visiting parts of Venezuela. The economy has remained in a permanent shambles, with 22% inflation. And while a lot of Venezuela's oil money was used to alleviate poverty, a lot of it was used to further Chavez's anti-American revolution. Billions were given to Cuba, and Chavez himself died a billionaire. But Venezuela's poor believe that Chavez truly cared about them. He's a man that cared about us, this woman says. He did not give anything to me, but he gave it to my people. But in South Florida, Venezuelans were cheering and hopeful that Chavez's death could mean the return of full democracy to Venezuela.
Inside you, it's hard not to be happy, even if somebody's dead. But I think I'm happy because this is the window of the opportunity. Venezuela can change.
Chavez also made the hemisphere much more dangerous by making Iran an ally and allowing Hezbollah to operate inside Venezuela. Vice President Nicolas Maduro told the nation on state television that the United States had a hand in Chavez's death. A U.S. diplomat and a U.S. Air Force officer were expelled. Venezuela's constitution says new elections for president must be held in 30 days. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
A new report says the U.S. spent too much money and got too few results for all its sacrifice in Iraq. On the reconstruction alone, American taxpayers spent $60 billion. That's about $15 million a day. Overall, the U.S. has spent at least $767 billion. The Special Inspector General for Iraq Reconstruction says a lot of money was misspent through waste. And the New York Times highlights a key point of the report, that the Obama administration failed to negotiate a military agreement with the Iraqi government before pulling out. Because of that, the U.S. has limited influence despite the enormous sacrifices America made to liberate Iraq.
Iraq's Chaldean Catholic Church has installed a new patriarch. 64-year-old Monsignor Louis Seiko was elected this morning during a ceremonial mass in Baghdad. Seiko replaces the retiring patriarch. He says he will push for dialogue with Muslim clerics to ensure coexistence and cooperation in Iraq. Christians in Iraq have suffered heavy persecution and violence by Islamic militants. Thousands have fled the country since the U.S.-led invasion in 2003.
The number of Syrians who have fled their war-ravaged country has now topped the 1 million mark. That figure is based on reports from United Nations field offices in neighboring countries that are giving shelter to those who have escaped. Thousands continue to cross the border every day. The UN also estimates more than 70,000 people have been killed in Syria's uprising against President Bashar al-Assad. The UN says, quote, Syria is spiraling towards full-scale disaster.
Up next, the president heads to Israel in a few weeks with a peace plan on his agenda. One expert tells us about the roadblocks that he'll face.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
In September of 1993, President Clinton stood on the White House lawn with Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat. They talked about a new era of peace, but it didn't happen.
Now President Obama is about to head to the Middle East, and once again, the peace process is mostly in tatters. John Waggy has the story.
September 13, 1993 was hailed as an historic day when Israel and the Palestinians would begin to put their differences aside.
Enough of blood and tears. Enough!
The concept seemed simple enough. Israel would give up West Bank territories it won in the 1967 Six-Day War, while the Palestinians would recognize Israel and get their own state, and the two peoples could live side by side in peace and security. But a Palestinian Authority government mired in corruption had different ideas, and through the 90s, terrorist groups increased their campaign against Israelis. Also, just 2 years after the White House ceremony, Rabin was murdered by an Israeli gunman. The peace process moved forward anyway, and President Clinton almost brokered a deal at Camp David in which the Israelis would give up most of the West Bank and part of Jerusalem. But Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat rejected the U.S. brokered agreement, and the result was a second intifada and a wave of terror attacks, leading to more than 2,000 dead on both sides. Under pressure from the West, the peace process continued, but the Bush administration departed from past U.S. policy and refused to deal with Arafat, seeing him as part of the problem rather than the solution. With Mahmoud Abbas in power after Arafat's death, the Israelis under Ariel Sharon pulled out of the Gaza Strip in 2005, uprooting more than 8,000 Jewish residents from their homes. They hoped it would lead to peace. Instead, it led to elections favoring the radical Hamas, an eventual Hamas dictatorship in Gaza, and thousands of rocket attacks on a growing number of Israeli cities. Today, as President Obama prepares to visit, the dream of two states living side by side in peace seems as distant as ever. John Waggy, CBN News.
And for more on this, CBN founder Pat Robertson spoke with Elliot Abrams. He spent decades in U.S. foreign policy.
He was a national security advisor to President George W. Bush, and he's written a book called Tested by Zion, the Bush administration and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
If you talk to the Israelis or to most of the Arabs, what they're worried about is Iran. Peace process is, off on the side, and they sometimes wonder why we obsess about it when their real concern is Iran.
Well, you've said also when our diplomats are working on this and the politicians, they seem more concerned about the process and they're more concerned about getting something on a piece of paper than actual progress on the ground. Talk about that.
Absolutely right. Everybody's looking for the great handshake on the White House lawn, Nobel Peace Prize, big international conferences. When really what we ought to be concerned about is security and prosperity for people living in Israel and living in the Palestinian areas. How can we make their lives better? How can we help them get better jobs, more autonomy, more mobility? But instead of focusing on these pragmatic things, everybody wants that great conference in the sky. And we miss a lot of opportunities to improve people's lives.
How about the Brotherhood? Are they set up Yasser Arafat and the PLO? What about the Palestinian Authority? It's desperately corrupt, isn't it?
Yeah, there was a decrease in corruption after Arafat died in 2004. It's climbed up again, and it's a very big problem, including, frankly, Mahmoud Abbas, whose picture you showed on the cover of the book. He and, candidly, his sons are involved in a lot of things that they should not be involved in. That's a huge problem for looking ahead for the Palestinians. They've got to find a way to wring that out of the system.
I can't see a peaceful solution coming out of this troubled region, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's very hard to be optimistic about Egypt, where I don't see the system holding. I'm not at all sure that system won't collapse in another year. And on Iran, are the Israelis really going to put their future, their lives, their children's lives, in the hands of Mr. Obama and Mr. Biden and risk everything on that? I don't think so. So I think sometime in the next year they're going to act against Iran.
It's not a pleasant prospect, is it?
It really isn't. And it's wrong. It's wrong in the sense that we're the global power. We're the superpower. If Iran is a threat to the world, and it is, we're the ones who should act. And we, of course, are infinitely stronger than Israel. It's kind of disgraceful, really, to leave this global problem in the hands of that small country. But if we do, I think they'll take that responsibility, and I think they will act, and they'll save themselves and us.
And you can find the rest of that interview at cbnnews.com. Stay with us right here on the CBN News Channel. We'll be right back.
The game show of biblical proportions is back with more action, more fun, more stars. Kirk Franklin, Mary, and more nuns.
The nuns just whooped you, man.
The American Bible Challenge Season 2 premieres Thursday, March 21st at 9/8 Central, only on GSN. Visit gsntv.com to find GSN in your area.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
The game show of biblical proportions is back. With more action, more fun, more stars. Kirk Franklin, Mary, and more nuns.
The nuns just whooped you, man.
The American Bible Challenge Season 2 premieres Thursday, March 21st at 9/8 Central, only on GSN. Visit gsntv.com to find GSN in your area.
Embarrassment turns into tears for one unsuspecting mother while dining with her husband at an area restaurant.
That's right. Her husband stands up to make a very public announcement. Take a look.
Got a lovely lady here with me tonight. Just wanted to let her know how much we love her with our family. She's been nothing short of a blessing and a gift to our entire family. She's a little embarrassed right now, and that's okay. So with saying that, sorry to interrupt your dinner, but wanted to give back to her a gift and give her a gift of her soldier, her son, home from Afghanistan. So welcome home your son, Staff Sergeant David Brandy.
Oh, the homecoming actually went viral and was posted on welcomehomeblog.com, a site filled with surprise military homecomings.
Love
oh,
that.
Look at that.
He's home.
He's home. She's like, oh my God.
Yes, he is home.
He's
Welcome
home.
home.
That is so awesome.
Beautiful. Well, that is going to do it now for the CBN News Channel. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com.
And tell us what you think about the stories you've seen today. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Have a great day. God bless.